The quest to become a better guitar player can lead you down many different rabbit warrens. Maybe you'll spend a lot of time studying the intricate ways of things like diatonic harmony and modal interchange and chord substitution. And other times maybe you'll just practice playing a simple scale very fast. And it's that latter approach we're taking today, inspired by the kind of classic blues rock stylings of players like Slash. So, crack open the Jack Daniels and a packet of Marlboro. Not really, obviously, I'm not actually recommending that. Not until they sponsor me anyway. And let's look at ways we can speed up our pentatonic playing. Alright, the pentatonic scale then, specifically today the E minor pentatonic scale. I would expect if you've got any aspirations of playing this fast, you're probably already pretty familiar with it, but on the off chance, the notes are E, in this case at the 12th fret on the E string, then G at the 15th fret, then on the A string we go A at the 12th, B at the 14th, on the D string D at 12, E at 14, on the G string G at 12, A at 14, on the B string, B at 12, D at 15, and on the top E string, E at 12, and then we'll include this high G at 15 as well. Now, I would strongly urge you to get yourself very, very familiar with that scale and that shape if you are not already before trying out any of these ideas. But having said that, please don't stop watching this video already or YouTube will think it's a bad one. So I will assume you are very familiar with our source material there and we'll get on with the first lick. Okay, lick one then, it's got to be one of the simplest licks in the business, but you do hear this get used quite a lot. What we are going to do is hammer on from 12 to 15 on the high E string. So we're picking the E and then hammering on with the third finger to the 15th fret. And then we're going to pull off again back to the E. So that's all done with one pick. Pick, hammer on, pull off. And then we are going to pick the D at the 15th fret on the B string. And there's a rather crucial picking technique to take on board here. We're picking that first note, the E, with a downstroke, and then picking that D on the B string with an upstroke. So we're using something often referred to as inside picking, where the picking movement is inside the first two strings. Keeps it very small and efficient and enables you to ramp up the speed relatively easily. And we're just going to do that on a little bit of a loop to get ourselves warmed up. So very, very straightforward, but a couple of fundamentals to bear in mind right from the off. First of all, you need to make sure you are playing that to a very even rhythm. We're going to be playing that to a strict semi-quaver count, so that is 4 notes every beat. And we will bring in the metronome in a moment to test that. The other thing to bear in mind as we get going here, at the risk of sounding like the sort of thing you'd see written on a message inside a supermarket fortune cookie, to learn to play fast, you have to not be too preoccupied with playing fast. You have to first and foremost be concerned with the accuracy and the quality of what you're doing. It's all about timing and accuracy. Any speed you achieve is always going to be a byproduct of that. And if you end up chasing the higher BPMs too early, you're going to accidentally sacrifice a lot of the quality of what you're doing. And believe me, that doesn't fool anyone when you get the speed going. So we're going to start at a bit of a sensible speed there and really make sure the technique is consistent and we've got those hammer-ons and pull-offs as clear and loud as the picked notes. Okay, let's bring in the metronome then. Now, for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to do each idea at 2 different speeds. I'm going to start off at 80 BPM and then I'm going to take a bit of a jump up to 120 BPM. Now, depending on where you are with your playing, you might find those speeds laughably slow or unfeasibly quick. That really doesn't matter. As long as you're being honest with yourself about how accurately and cleanly you're playing it, just set the metronome to whatever suits you. But to give you an idea, here we are at 80 BPM first of all. So remember, we're playing 4 notes every beat. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... Okay, let's try 120 then. So that is going to be there. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E. Now, obviously, there's a fair bit of difference between those two speeds. I'll say again, set the metronome to whatever suits you. You probably find if you're new to these ideas, you'll spend a bit of time in between those two, building it up gradually. But as well as the metronome, good idea, I think, to try and apply this musically. So I've got a little slash style groove set up here that is recorded at 120 BPM. So we'll try it at the higher speed. So my track goes like this. So there's the pulse. Like so. Alright, so once you've got to grips with that, let's try expanding on that idea a little bit. Lick 2 then is basically an extension of that very same idea. We're going to begin in exactly the same way, but then we're going to do the hammer on and pull off from 12 to 15 on the B string, and then pick the 14th fret on the G string. So we're doing the exact same pattern, but just moving it a string upwards. So we have... And then we're going to do the same pattern one more time. So we do hammer on and pull off 12 to 14 on the G string, and then pick the 14th fret on the D string. So we're going... And notice we're maintaining that inside picking technique all the way through to keep that really efficient. So down pick on the E string, up pick on the B string, then a down pick on the B string, up pick on the G string, then down pick on the G string, up pick on the D string. Then we are going to ascend back up through the scale. So we are going to jump back up to our pattern on the B string, but notice I'm changing it a little bit as I go back towards the floor. When I do the hammer on and pull off on the B string, I'm using the 3rd finger, but this time when I play the note on the G string, I'm going to use my middle finger. It just saves me having to change the angle my hand is at, and again enables a little bit more efficiency for speeding it up. So far we have... and then back to the E string. Alright, we'll bring in the metronome then. Okay, starting at 80. 1, 2, 3, 4. And jumping up to 120. 1, 2, 3, 4. And with our track. The third and final lick today then is a little bit more complicated. It's one I'm pretty sure Slash fans will recognise. It involves a little bit more going on with the picking hand, so it's a bit of a different effect. Can be a little bit trickier to work up to speed, but I'll run you through it. We are starting at the 12th fret on the A string, which we are picking twice, like so. Then we're reaching down to the low E string, 15th fret with the little finger, and pulling off to 12, played with the first finger. And that's the last bit of action the little finger's going to see for a little while. So we are going... We're then jumping up to the 14th fret on the A string and picking that twice. So we've got... Then hammering on from 12 to 14. And that pattern just continues. We've then got 2 picks of the 12 on the D string, then 14 to 12 on the A string, 2 14s on the D string, until we land on the high E at the 12th fret. And just a word about the picking there. Again, we are doing it in the most economical way possible. So what's going on there is I'm picking the double notes, just down, up, then playing a downstroke on the following note. The next note is then played legato with the left hand. But then what I'm doing, when I go to double pick again, I'm jumping to start with a downstroke again. So fans of very strict alternate picking will notice I'm missing out an upstroke there, but that's because that legato note is replacing the upstroke. So the picking there is down, up, down, down, up, down. And it just means every time you're starting a new string, you're playing it with a downstroke. So your hand is kind of moving down through the strings in a very economical way. Again, helps when you're cranking up the metronome, which I will attempt to demonstrate now. Okay, 80 BPM. And 120. And a bit with the track, why not? And there we go, a few ideas to help you build up a bit of speed when you're playing with the pentatonic scale. Really hope there was some stuff of interest there to you. Let me know what kind of speed you managed to get them up to with the metronome. But as ever, really hope you've enjoyed. If so, please consider liking and subscribing and all that. And I'll see you with something else very soon. Cheers.
Thank you.